So today we're talking about all of the things that women have been taught about men that are completely, irrevocably incorrect. And why being an amazing woman is still not getting you chosen in love. Because the truth is, so much of what we have been taught about success and independence is also the exact reason why you are killing, in my opinion, the number one most important thing to a love so deep and filled with intimacy, which is polarity. There are so many incredible, successful women out there right now who are still not being chosen in love. And instead of asking why that is, we are being told to heal ourselves, work on ourselves, wait for the man to step up. Instead of looking at something that is so overlooked in today's day and age in the real way that is like, past the Instagram performatism, past the like fluffy hashtag feminine magnetic way. And this is polarity. So for our audience today, Meg, I want to introduce you to who's going to be listening. We have got on one side of the table women who absolutely know what polarity is, who get it in their body, they understand, they know. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have got people who will hear the word polarity and be like, do you mean like a fucking magnet? Are we talking about like the North Pole and the South Pole here? Like what is polarity? Like what is this thing? So I would love for you to take us deep into the world of what polarity actually is. And then we're going to get juicy into the questions I've got for you today.
Love it. Love kicking off like this. Okay. And I think, polarity, when you say like magnets, that is polarity, right? It's when two opposing forces get magnetized towards each other. And this is, laws of nature in a way. So when we're looking at polarity in a relational landscape, it is the force we feel when we are in one particular energetic. So let's say the feminine, right? And then someone else is in the energetic of the masculine, and there is this magnetic pull because of those opposing forces. And so, yeah, and I'm sure we'll deep dive deeper into this, but this is why I think a lot of women probably in your world, I know a lot of women in my world, say, I want a really masculine man. I want a masculine man. I want a powerful man. I want a man that's, really masculine. And we can talk about what that actually means. Yeah. And obviously, if we're looking at this from like a polarity lens, in order to attract a man like that, or in order to be attractive, right? Not attractive like physically, but attractive like energetically to a man like that, this requires us to be able to have access to our feminine life force, the ability to be able to land in that energy and emanate that energy. Now, I love the teachings around polarity, and I also think in this day and age on Instagram that is so surface level and black and white and dogmatic in many ways. Because I also believe that when we're talking about polarity, it doesn't just mean to be attracted to a man, you have to just be feminine in every single moment, right? And that doesn't just mean being like sweet, soft, and surrendered. The feminine is just like, the energy of life, like movement, emotion, right? Anything that's alive. So I think that can be this real surface level look at polarity where, or sometimes women dive into the work of polarity and think, in order to be chosen, I can't be too masculine. Now I have to like kill off all of these parts of me, or I've got to push down all of these parts of me, which is so not true. This is an energetic we dance in and play in. There's one more piece I want to add, and I feel like we'll deepen there anyway. But I also think, polarity is, these opposing forces, and there's different layers to this. Like it can be really surface level, right? It can be really polarizing for a man with lots of money to be with a damsel in distress. That's polarity. They're two opposing forces, right? But I think the conversation that your women are probably really aching for, and I know you're aching for, and like you're really into, and the conversation that turns me on is like polarity in the level of depth.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
If you want a deep man, like what does it look like to be creating polarity and this like ignition, because polarity creates that magnetic, polarizing sexual force and attraction. We want to be creating that from a place of depth.
Mm-hmm.
So this means as women, if we want to be attracting and magnetizing the depth of the masculine, we need to be accessing and embodying the depth of our feminine, which is a whole other conversation than just like, putting on a pretty dress and, or like learning how to be performatively sexy.
Oh my God. Yes, 1,000% to this. And for all of our listeners at home, I want to be very clear that I, up until 3.5, 4 years ago, had no motherfucking idea what feminine energy, masculine energy was. And in fact, when I first came across Meg, I followed her, unfollowed her, followed her, unfollowed her, followed her, unfollowed her, stalked her on Instagram for an entire year because of the level of triggering that her embodiment of what I've now come to understand as feminine energy gave to me within my body. Because before I met Meg, I will be real with you guys, I thought feminine energy was putting on a flowery dress. I thought feminine energy was holding a bouquet of flowers. I thought feminine energy was like sniffing on roses and being pretty and being pleasing and being really like, it's very submissive, not in the sexy way, but in the like, yes sir, no sir, thank you way kind of energy. And meeting you at a time in my life where I was so in the masculine because I was so terrified of being out of control, that the only way I could find safety in my life, in my relationships, in my experience with the world was through gripping so strongly. Meeting and working with you so deeply is the thing that set me on the trajectory of actually understanding that being in my feminine is the most powerful gift I can give to the world, to the men in my life, to my clients, to every single person that I interact with. And I'm not saying I get it perfect at all. Holy shitballs. There is like a whole nother level of this that comes into fruition. But what I would love to give to our listeners at home, for those of us who maybe were like me a few years ago, had no understanding of like masculine energy, feminine energy, what would you say like 101 masculine energy versus feminine energy is, especially when it comes to like, yes, people as a whole, but also like dating, relationships, and that whole spectrum of life?
Yes, love this. And fucking loved our work together. And loved that you were triggered by me and you followed and unfollowed and then came back into my world.
Literally hired you like one-to-one. I was like, I'm so triggered / activated / no, I need this. Just get me into your highest proximity space.
I love it. I just adore you. So for me, the way I love to teach polarity is like from the real energetic landscape that yes, like feminine and masculine energy can manifest and take certain forms, but really these are like energetic textures that live in the body of every single, human, no matter our gender, and they move through the energetics of life. So I would say that the feminine is motion, it is emotion, it is what's alive in the body, it's our desires, it's our life force. And again, men and women both have this, but when we're connected to our inner feminine, it is like, are we connected to what we're feeling, what's alive, what is there, right? And to deepen into our feminine, it's no longer pushing down or like contorting our emotions or making some of our emotions good and some of our emotions bad, right? The woman or the human that is deeply rooted in her feminine is allowing herself to be like Mother Earth, like just letting the seasons of life move through her. Whatever is there, she welcomes it. She becomes this force of nature of whatever is alive in her. So yeah, it's the aliveness of desire, the aliveness of emotion. It's life force energy, right? It's motion.
Yes, I literally had like a date with a guy last night and he was like, oh my God, you're like the most passionate person I've ever met. And I was like, #feminine. I knew you'd love that.
I love it. And then if we look at the masculine, right, we can look at it from this place of like the stillness, the consciousness, the unmoving or immovable in a way. It's the part of us that is aware of those things. So if we think about it in our own form, it's like the feminine is our emotions, our desires, the parts of us that are moving, and our inner masculine is that like the consciousness of all of those things. So then if we like take that out and more bring it into, okay, the form of a relationship, and I'm sure, even though I am very connected to my inner masculine, and I think whenever we're talking about polarity, like I said before, this isn't about going, I'm feminine or I'm a woman, so I just have to be feminine and my masculine's wrong. No, I think it's so important to hone both of these within us. And there's usually one of them that feels more delicious in our body in relationship. Like I know I love and feel really fucking alive in my relationship when I'm the one in terms of the polarity that's, deeply feeling and deeply alive in the motion that's here in my body, right? And deeply alive in my desire. And so when we look at this in like the form of relationship, and if we look at this like a woman being feminine, a man being masculine, again, no, it doesn't have to be just rooted to that. But this might look like, a woman being more alive in her body, right? A woman moving and being really connected to her emotions and her desires and being able to speak her emotions and desires, her existing from her body, right? Not just in her head or shoulders up.
Which is what 99% of women really are in this day and age. So that's really important information you just gave there, is being really able to connect to your emotion, to your truth, to what's coming through and express that through the aliveness of your body, right?
And this is really like, and maybe we get deeper into this in a little bit around like, you can perform the feminine. It is not like, but it's not something you can think your way into. Like being deeply alive and embodied in our feminine, I often say and many people who teach the feminine are in agreement with this, it's a fucking descent. Like our power is as women, and I know you resonate with this, like I think so much in the spiritual space, it's like, let's go up and out. Right? Let's get out, right? Let's get out. Let's go as high as we possibly can. Let's ascend beyond the human realm. But it's like, we're fucking in these bodies for a reason. And actually as women, like our power is in our pussies. Our power is in our womb. Like we actually have to descend in order to access and bring alive the fullness of our feminine power.
Yes.
And obviously we don't really do that because for thousands of years, right, we have been taught as women to disconnect from our pussies, disconnect from our womb, right? There has been only safety in being able to exist here. It has felt really deeply unsafe for us as women, our mothers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, many women before that to be in their bodies, For thousands of years, women have been taught their pussies, their wombs, are a space of, disgust and, evil and, whatever else we've been taught through the church and everything. So, no wonder as women, it makes a lot of sense that we live in a culture that women, live from their shoulders up. And not only are we starving for our own feminine energy, I know I was when I first started doing this work. I know a lot of the women that come into my world they're like, we're fucking starving for this. We're starving for our aliveness. We're starving for our life force. But so are our men. Like they're starving for their own inner feminine, but they're starving to taste and feel the feminine through our bodies and through our expression. And then our world is starving for that texture and that energy.
And of course, then when a woman lives so in her mind instead of her body, that then extrapolates out into the relationship. And then suddenly you've got two people vying for like the masculine role, so to speak. And I just want to put a little side note in here as well that I couldn't even, when I heard, before working with you, someone said the word pussy, my whole body would be like, oh my God, what the, did that person just say, oh my God, pussy, what the fuck? Now, like after working with you, I'm just like, pussy, 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 pussy. It's like the most alive thing that is just so natural. And it's so interesting to just sit here and like be like, oh my God, yeah, that's like not even a thing for me anymore. But I want to deepen into this whole conversation and I'd love to hear from you. Spitfire at us from your lens of being in a relationship, a loving, devoted, transformed relationship. 12 years, did you say? Between you and Jacob now, who, by the way, is just a phenomenal men's coach. That shout out, Jacob. So much love for you. I would love to know from you, what do women fundamentally misunderstand about men?
I love this question. This question makes me emotional because I think like even just that question is so fucking important. Like just the curiosity, I think, to understand like, if you love a man or want to love a man, like just that level of curiosity is everything, right? And I just want to like zoom out for a moment because we are existing in a very tender landscape around men right now. You know, if we look at what are we, May of 2026, like there's been some really fucked up shit that's come out in the last few months around the world around, you know, men and women being hurt at the hands of men. And also this isn't a new thing. This is, you know, for thousands of thousands, millennia, right? And so I'm always here for the conversation around how have like really honoring and acknowledging the way as women we have been hurt by men at the hands of men. And I don't think any woman is unscathed by that, right? And I've worked with thousands of women, right? Men, like all have been hurt at the hands of men in some way, shape or form. And sometimes that leads us into then never, you know, being in the conversation around what's happening for our men, what is the pain our men are experiencing, what is the hurt our men are experiencing, because we are living in this world that really pits us against each other, right? And so, yeah, I just really want to honor the question you asked around, like, what are we not understanding about our men? Because yes, I'm here for both, like to really honor, you know, the hurt we might have experienced from men, but also know that like our men are swimming in the same shit that we are in this culture. Like, you know, if we look at the patriarchy and all that, you know, we exist in as women that teaches us to hate our bodies, to disconnect from our pussies, to live in our head. Our men are also living, like swimming in that water. Our men are also swimming in the water that teaches them that it's not safe to feel, that they have to push up down their emotions, that they have to man up, right? Our men are like, our men have been, you know, as children often or teenagers have been exposed to porn and then become addicted to porn that has totally disconnected them from their bodies, their sexuality, their emotions. And that, you know, is so, like it's killing our men in many ways. And so, yeah, I just want to bring that like cultural kind of macro conversation in because, yeah, I think some of those pieces can have us as women thinking that it's all about men need to learn to love us better, which they do in many ways. And also, yeah, that curiosity of like, what aren't we understanding about men? How can we be more curious about what their inner landscape is and what they're moving through? I just think is just a really powerful paradigm to exist in.
Yeah, 100%.
I want to answer your question, but I just wanted to bring that context.
No, we really need that because thank you for sharing that. It's really important because that is the context that all of this draws for. And within that as well, I look around a lot of the men that exist in my world and my friendships and you know, people that are circulating in my environment. And I see so many of them and hear so many of them sharing about this like sense of almost purposelessness that they move through the world with as well now, being in a state and a time where there is like hyper-independence in women is something that is so praised. It is so praised, yet it is often the thing that is going to destroy a connection and a relationship. And I've learned that definitely a big part of my life, having to really heal that part of me that has thrived in that hyper-independence. But when we look at men as a whole, and again, this is a generalization, of course there's always nuances, but I'm just here for the fullness of this conversation, they thrive in that purpose and in that having a space to funnel that into. And when we have this world of hyper independence, that's really hard for a man to really, really serve in. So yeah, I would really love to hear from you. What do we as women just fundamentally misunderstand about men that can change everything?
I think that piece is so important, that men, one of their deepest, what satisfies them most, one of the things that satisfies a man most is being of service and knowing his role and purpose, like really feeling like he has a role and a purpose. And I would say, and I'm sure everyone listening has a man in their life or many men in their life that they feel doesn't have a sense of purpose, and they can see how that affects that man. Maybe they can see the low, you know, depressive states he gets into, or the disconnection, or how he just, you know, the disconnection of himself. So yeah, our men need a sense of purpose, and not that we get to be their sense of purpose, but you know, it is true. Like men love serving women, and when we give them a role to play in our life, right? that creates a role for them to like step into and bring themselves fully to. Yeah.
Yeah. How can we ground this down into like real practical? I want to hear some like examples of how the women listening can literally let their men serve them. Like what are indicators that their men are trying to serve that then the women are blocking, and how can we offer like a pathway for them to start seeing that and then understanding, oh, that's my man trying to serve me right now. And accepting his help doesn't make me weak. Accepting his help doesn't mean I'm a floundering little princess. Although hashtag I 100% am a floundering little princess at points in time.
It's kind of fun to be a floundering little princess.
It's so fun to be a floundering little princess. In like the best way ever.
Say, yeah, like whenever like those like damsel in distress, floundering little princess, like if we're playing those archetypes with consciousness, I think they can be really powerful, right? To bring into our relationship, not from like a manipulative place, but like if we get to play from consciousness. If we're not conscious of those things and we're playing the damsel and we're constantly, having that archetype come up for us or that pattern come up for us, and it's not playful or it's not in consciousness, obviously this is something that we have to clear or heal. But yeah, I think those can be really playful.
Is it like as simple as like a man offering to carry your bag or open your door, or like what is the most simple version for women to really understand this on a grounded level, do you think?
I think first, like, let's take it back a notch, because you said about the hyper independence. And I teach on 3 patterns that keep a woman from experiencing the love that she deeply yearns for, which in my world is often a woman wanting to feel chosen, claimed, like deeply met in love. And those 3 patterns are the hyper independent woman, the micromanager, and the cool girl. And so we might get into all of those, but let's start with the hyper independent woman. She is the woman that has been taught, like through whatever life experiences, maybe she saw this in her own mother, or maybe it was through her childhood, but she was taught, she learned through her life that safety only exists when she's depending on herself. That it's not safe. Like her nervous system does not feel safe handing it over to someone else or trusting someone else. And so I think that's the conversation that anyone that has this kind of pattern needs to really be a part of. It's like, because if we were to just say, oh yeah, let a man open the door for you, a woman that has the pattern of hyper independence, that is going to feel,
that is a fuck like no for a woman who has the hyper independence
in those moments. Right. And there's a real identity piece there that can really be like this identity piece and identity death for a woman. So I think for any woman that feels this pattern of hyper independence, that's not a bad thing, right? For a lot of women, that pattern has supported her to create a business or to maybe buy a home or like whatever it is in the world, right? And so it's not about shaming or making that pattern wrong. But if a woman underneath that pattern has a deep longing to be met by a man in love, to be deeply met and claimed and obliterated in love, that pattern, she has to learn how to move beyond that pattern. She has to learn how to be able to relate beyond that pattern.
Yeah, because how does that I don't need a man energy actually land with a man? Even though it feels empowering or can feel empowering to a woman, how does that actually land with a man?
Often a man will like tap out of that energy, like if she's met for that energy, or wait and almost be like waiting for permission. Like if a woman is, and not saying like not every man will be like that. Some men might be like, boom, okay, I can feel that. I'm going to like rise above that. But a lot of men will like not know their place, not know their role. The hyper independent does not leave space for a man to serve her.
And then she wonders why she's attracting men who keep not wanting to serve her.
And then she's like, no one cares about me. No one can really meet me in the way that I want to be met.
I'm too much.
Yes. And a lot of the time, the hyper-independent woman feels this in all her relationships. She's the one that's like organizing the girls' weekends away and like booking all the things. And then she's like, no one cares about me as much as I care about other people.
But really, there's just no space.
Right? There's no space for anyone to care deep. She's not leaving, or she's not being vulnerable enough to ask for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That made me so curious, Meg, about the other two pieces as well. So you've got the hyper independent, and then you've got the micromanager, and then the cool girl. Can you introduce us to these sexy little archetypes, please?
I sure can. So the micromanager is, she's the woman that has been taught, through life, that safety lives in control. That she has to control as much as she possibly can to feel safe. And so in relationship, what this looks like when she's in the micromanager, when a woman, and this was me, this is a pattern I have probably spent the last 6 years really healing and learning how to move beyond and operate beyond in my partnership. The micromanager really believes I do it best. No one can do it like me. And I have to have control of everything, the way the dishwasher's unstacked, where he chooses for date night, what he wears, like all of the things, right, to be able to feel safe and in control. And so this is often, and I was like this for a few years in my partnership, where I was like, lead me, make more decisions. I want more of your power, like be more masculine. But then at the same time, it's like, not like that. Lead me, not like that.
Be not in that hat.
Don't wear that, right? I'm asking you, can you be more bold and powerful in the world? Actually, not like that. Actually, I'm going to tell you how you're doing it all wrong. So this is where a lot of women come into my world at, where they're like, I want more from my man. I want to feel more of his power, or I want to feel more of the power of the men that I'm dating, or, attracting more men that are like really anchored. And they're still really existing in the world of dating and relationships from this place of I need to be in control. And so this is a huge pattern that, the truth is the only way that, like, we're always, if you're with a powerful masculine man, he is going to make you uncomfortable. You cannot, because you cannot control him. And so the biggest piece the micromanager has to learn, or a woman with that micromanager pattern has to learn, is to be with her own discomfort.
Which is
an example of this is, right? An example of this is my husband. Like, I don't know if you've noticed this about Jacob, but Jacob just sometimes wears just like really weird shit.
I love it.
Like,
I fucking love it.
Really weird shit. And that used to really, I loved that at the beginning of our relationship. And then they got to a point where I would be like, if we were going certain places, I would be like, really passive aggressive about it. I'd be like, oh, like, you haven't got changed yet, right? Oh, like, are you going to wear that? Right. So I'd be like slightly digging, and not slightly, like emasculating.
Overtly digging.
Underneath that was the micromanager of like, I need you to change and wear the thing that I want you to wear so I feel comfortable, so people perceive me and you in a certain way. I need you to be changed so I don't have to leave the house feeling this discomfort that's in my body right now. So the micromanager is very much, you need to change so I don't feel uncomfortable. The woman fucking knows her job is to let her man be her fucking man. And if that brings up discomfort, that discomfort is hers to fucking be with.
Yes.
Right?
That's it. Not trying to change him out of it.
Trying to change him, right, is not going to ever have that man feeling trusted, feeling powerful, feeling respected. Right? And this is another big thing if we circle back to what do we need to understand about our men, that, they feel deeply as well. And that there's so many things as women that often we do that have that we don't ever say this often, but the message that they're receiving is you're not enough or you're not doing it right.
What are the ways that we as women unsubtly and subtly emasculate our men? And what can we do differently? Because we know, right, when a man is trusted, when a man is respected, there is a level of depth and presence that is available to his woman that she will never be able to access when she is trying to micromanage him and control him like every other aspect of her life. So how are we as women unconsciously or consciously emasculating our men, and what can we do instead? What are the little ways that we do this in everyday life?
A trillion little ways, right? And I want to like take it to like the thing that's underneath all of them, and then we can explore the little ways. But underneath really any emasculation or any time where like digging, being passive aggressive, when when underneath it, the feeling we have in our body is like, you're not doing it right, you need to change. Anything that comes from that belief is emasculation, right? So that example I used before, when I just used to think it was so harmless when I was telling Jacob what to wear. But really underneath what I was saying every time I was saying that is like, I don't trust you to dress yourself. You're not good enough in the outfit that you're wearing, right? Even though they weren't my literal words, that was the energetic underneath it. You know, again, some really simple examples, something that I used to do, and I know a lot of women do, it might be like driving in the car with their boyfriend, their husband, you know, their partner of 20 years, and their partner takes a right, but you would take a left. And going, hey, you should have gone left there. Don't you know you should go left there, right? Instead of just like, he's driving, fucking let him drive. And like, let him go where he needs, like wherever he's going to end up, like trusting him that he's got the wheel. Like all of these little ways where we basically say, you did it wrong, you're not doing it right. A huge way that this used to show up for me was Jacob in his business decisions. Like I was in business many years before Jacob. So in his business, anytime he would share something with me, maybe it was something exciting that he was about to do, I would then try and he would share, you know, I'm going to launch this thing. And I would immediately be like, have you thought about this? Oh, what about this? Are you doing it that way? You should do it this way. So again, I wasn't saying I don't trust you to have a successful launch of this, but my word, the energetic and the belief underneath that was that. I'm like, I need to tell you how to do this, because if I don't tell you how to do this, you're not going to do it right.
Oh my God, so resonate with that. And I remember when I was working with you guys, one of the stories that you shared that I just loved because I could so resonate with it, and I know so many other people can as well, is when you would both be teaching on a call together, and where the camera couldn't see, Jacob would be sharing something and saying something, and you would be squeezing his knee like, oh my God, are you really saying that? And that is such, as well, a profound example of, you know, and I see this sometimes in relationships that I observe with people in my life where the man will be asked a question and instead of answering it, he's just looking straight at his partner for the answer. And if her eyes go bigger like this, it means don't say anything or, you know, whatever. And it just like, I sit there with discomfort in my body that I'm like, oh, okay, all right. And I like have to go hide away in a toilet for a minute and just like regulate myself. But it's such an interesting conversation to have, because if we just gave, and this isn't to say, how do I want to word this? This isn't to say, women, don't be discerning with your trust where you know, where you're giving it out to a man, of course. And that's true in all relationships. However, if you want a man to lead you, if you crave that message saying, babe, be ready at 6 p.m. And by the way, I've put $300 into your account to buy yourself a new dress, and you know, I'm going to pick you up or pack a bag, we're going away for a weekend, and you want that in your life, you have to be willing to let go of control so that your man can step into the space that you're so busy picking up with right now. So I feel like this is such an important conversation, right?
And I want to circle back to what you said about the couples, like, and her eyes going big, and like this, if for any woman, especially if you've been in a long-term relationship and you're craving more from your man, like more leadership, more power, like more of him, become so fucking ruthlessly devoted to tracking any of those little harmless behaviors. Because it is that when you're giving big eyes at him across a room, basically saying, don't say that thing that I know you're about to say. That's controlling. That is communicating you can't be yourself right now.
And suddenly you're stepping into the mother role as well. And a masculine man isn't looking for a mother. He's looking for a woman. Oh my God, I'm going to use your analogy here. One of the best things you've ever taught me that I want every single woman to hear in her body right now, especially if it activates you, especially if it triggers you. But there is a life that can exist where you as a woman can be the homemaker and the
whore.
That's it. Where you can bake banana bread and
give epic blowjobs.
And I think so many women believe that we have to sit in a place of either or of those, when really there is so much power that can exist when you embody all of those pieces of you. And this is like a slightly different conversation around what we're speaking to, but I just think it's important because having the ability to touch yourself is like the wrong wording, but it's the only one that's coming through here. Like to touch those aspects of you and bring them online creates such a different dynamic in relationships as well. So I want to clear. Yes, please.
I think, and I was really guilty of this as well. And I just see a lot of women that come to me for relationships. They're all of their life force energy is out towards their man or like the dating world. And it's all about like, I need him to step up. I need him to lead. I need him to change, and then I'll feel the way that I want to. He needs to change. I could tell you 1,000 things that if he just did those things, then I would feel the way I want to feel. That is such a fucking lie. It's a nice lie. It's a lie that makes
a convenient lie.
It's a convenient lie, right? Because many women do not then have to look at their patterns of control. They don't have to look at the patterns of hyper-independence. They don't have to look at all the ways that they're pushing down their desires and running from all the moments where it would be scary as shit to be vulnerable, right? So it would be really easy if he just changed and then you felt the way. But the truth is, the truth is, you could have the most masculine fucking man in front of you, but if your nervous system still feels really deeply unsafe letting go of control, you will not feel deeply claimed. You will not feel alive in love. You're going to feel tense in control. If you still have patterns of like, I want to be cool and it's not safe for me to, express my desires. Again, you could have the most masculine man in front of you wanting to serve you so fucking deeply, but if you're not expressing your desires or being vulnerable enough to bring them, you're not going to feel deeply met in partnership. So this is an inner fucking game. And just circling back to where I like butt in and wanted to jump in here is that, again, I think so many women are looking out to like, either my man needs to change and he needs to do all of these things, or the perfect man needs to come along. And so focused on like what they can get from a man instead of like, who the fuck am I? Like, am I being the greatest fucking offering for my partner or my future partner, right? Am I in what I call my full spectrum woman? Like, what am I in the depth of my like feminine radiance and fullness, not just for a man, but like, because that's life-giving, right? Can I do the work of no longer starving myself from myself and actually feed myself my own homemaker whore and everything in between? Like, bring it all online.
Praise Jesus. Yes, this is it.
Because that's what feeds a man, not you telling him you're not, like you did that thing again and you weren't home at that amount of time, and can you just be more masculine, and can you just lead me more, and can you like be like this man on Instagram? Like that is also you not being what he deeply yearns for. Like that's not a life-giving partner to be with. And I think this is an important and confronting conversation for many women to be like, what kind of partner are you being? And again, this isn't just for your man or future man, but it's about, can you bring yourself so fucking fully alive? Because that is what creates the ultimate polarity, right? You in your fullness, you feeding yourself, you in your depth.
This is the magic. I want every single person at home to rewind that last part 100 times over, because what you've just touched on there, Meg, is the golden nugget. Because we can, again, you can perform being feminine, you can perform all of this, but at the end of the day, every single thing that you are creating within yourself has to actually be done for yourself first. And you have to turn yourself on before your partner will ever turn you on in life and sex and intimacy and love and all of these things. And I was so guilty. It's one of my biggest lessons I've taken from my long-term relationship that ended was I wanted that. I deeply yearned and craved for that leadership and that, masculinity and that full power there and that presence and the depth and all of the things. But I was so stuck in, honestly, I see myself in all three of those archetypes, the high achiever, hyper independent, right? The micromanager and the cool girl. And especially the cool girl when, I thought the thing to do to find a man was to be the cool girl. Like, as in like, I don't have any needs. I'm so low maintenance. Like, I don't need a thing. I'm always happy. This is my operating. All I am is happy and positive. And this is how I exist in the world. And nothing's ever a problem. And there is literally nothing that anyone could ever say or do that would ever upset me or piss me off or make me feel any kind of emotion outside of my safe range of happy and like this, because this is how I've learned to be loved in the world. And coming into your world and understanding that I had literally starved myself of the depth of what a woman is, which is that in touch with her emotional inner world that, again, a man in his masculine actually craves, and that yet again creates that polarity. That was one of the most significant learnings, because I could never attract a man who was that if I wasn't being the thing that would attract a man who is in that. And so... yeah, I want to really highlight what you've just said there, because we can spend our years writing in our journal, manifesting the man, wanting to call in this certain energy without ever taking the mirror and looking at ourselves. So for everybody listening at home, what are some ways that, like anyone who's just resonated with this big piece we've just uncovered, how can they start doing this work?
I feel like, and you just spoke about that, like, I'm low maintenance, like I'm the cool girl. Like, I think that is a big piece for women. Like, and you said you resonate with all three of those archetypes and patterns. Like most women in my world resonate with a lot of them too. It's like a mix. And one of the deepest wounds that I would say no woman, especially, you know, in the Western world, is really immune to is the wound of like feeling too much.
Oh.
We
Hallelujah.
are so deeply scared, especially in love, right, of being seen as too much. So that has led to us pushing down so many parts of us. You know, you've heard me teach on this before, but I often teach that there's like this box of like what a good girl or a good woman is. And you know, in those boxes might be like kind, polite, sweet, soft, pretty, you know, like, you know, all these things that we're taught to be good. But then outside of that box is the full spectrum of what we're here to fucking be. Right? It's our rage, it's our assertiveness, it's our power, it's, you know, all of these, it's our sexuality, it's our eroticism, it's our feral, it's our wild, it's like the high maintenance part of us that knows exactly what she fucking wants and knows she wants it. And so the real work if we want to feel deeply met in partnership, is to deeply meet ourselves in all of that, to stop living in the box. Because if we attract a relationship while we're in the box and we exist in the box, right, we're never going to feel deeply met because there's so much more of us that we're like so hungry to be met in. And often, again, here's the lie that often women think, oh, it's my partner's job to initiate me to give me permission to play in everything outside of the box. Right? Or the perfect masculine man is going to come along and then I'll be like, you know, a full spectrum woman. No, like no man can unlock parts of you or give you access to parts of yourself. Like we can only do that. And so this is the work, like beginning that journey of playing outside the box, like building a relationship with your rage, building a relationship with your pussy, building a relationship with your eroticism, building a relationship with all the parts of woman or all the parts of the feminine that we've been taught are wrong, too much, you know, fill in the blank. And again, this is when we start to feel, you know, I know this witnessing you in your journey, this was my journey, like, oh my God, I started to feel fucking fed. I didn't know how hungry I was for myself. And then that place, whether you're currently in relationship, that will shift your partnership. Sometimes it illuminates the fact that as you become more of yourself, that the man you're with cannot hold you. That was your journey, right?
And hello, everybody. But this is actually a really important point because, and I just want to highlight this. And you know, we're in a very good place now, of course, with all the healing and everything. But there was definitely, I think, one of the biggest things in my relationship I took away with this was that when you are met as the cool, easy, low maintenance, nothing's ever wrong, nothing's a problem, it's all good in the hood, I'm happy, nothing can disrupt my happiness, it's all good, toxic positivity, yada, yada, they're going up, not, you know, in terms of the ascent, not the descent. Then when you actually feel an emotion and you bring that into a space that isn't used to that can then highlight that this isn't the match for that. And I think this is so important for a lot of women because how many of us have been taught that our rage is wrong, that our grief is wrong, that our sexuality is wrong. And then to bring those deeper textures into a space and have them kind of confirmed as wrong is what can create such a dangerous cycle for a woman to be in, because when we cut ourselves off and we label these experiences that we all have that again are so deeply connected to the feminine energy of being alive, and it's not about something you always say that I completely agree with, that I've also sometimes been guilty of, but is that this is not about, like you say, giving, you know, every woman under the sun permission to like go out there and like bring her full like fuck you energy, it's your problem, yada yada yada, and like, you know, project and vomit all of that onto like a man in their life. But it's more about like something you taught me that I think is so powerful is being in your anger and being able to say like, oof, like, whoa, there's anger moving through me right now. rather than like, spitting that onto somebody else. And all of this just to say, connecting to these emotions is such an important part of this experience. And I kind of just want to backtrack and ask one question around something that's just popped into my mind. I know, don't you dare or bullshit me by messaging me and saying, that's not me. I fucking know it is. For the listeners at home right now who resonate with being the controlling type, what is one tangible thing that they can do in the moment where they notice themselves going into that? And like every single part of them wants to, because that's all that they've known safety as. How do they let their man lead in that moment without like spontaneously combusting and falling into a pile on the floor?
Love this question because it's an important one. And I often say in my work, like, and I'm sure you say something similar, the transformation doesn't happen like in a Zoom call with a teacher often or listening to a podcast. It fucking happens in the micro moments of your life, like showing up and being with that pattern of control and then transmuting it or practicing moving beyond it in a moment and doing that again and again and again. So that looks like, and I'll give you like a real lived example. For me, let's say it was when my husband would bring me something around his business and I used to feel a discomfort in my body when he would bring me something about his business. And so the controlling part of me would, with that discomfort, go, I don't want to feel this discomfort. I'm going to tell him what to do so I feel more comfortable. So the control would telling him what to do, mothering him in that moment, managing him in that moment would create a sense of comfort for me because I felt like I was controlling the situation. Or it could have been telling him what to wear, trying to get him to change an outfit. My body would go from discomfort back to comfort because he was wearing the outfit I wanted him to. For the woman that's the micromanager, she needs to realize that's not a game she wants to play anymore. And that if she's always looking for comfort by getting him to change, whether it's change outfit or change the way he speaks or change a part of him, right? That's not a fucking winning game. That's never going to lead to deep intimacy or her feeling free in her fucking body.
So hang on, what I'm hearing is that the thing that women think is going to create the outcome that they want is actually repelling the outcome that they want in their relationship.
Completely. So completely. Because when we continue to tell a man what to do, often unconsciously without realizing it, we are basically saying to him every time we do that, I don't trust you, 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 I don't trust you. Even if 5 minutes after that we're saying, can you lead more? Can you lead more? Can you be more masculine? Can you be a bit of, I don't trust you. Like, that's such a fuck around for that man. Of course that man does not want to step up. Of course that man maybe even gets defensive and like, sometimes because it's like, I'm so confused. You're telling me you want me in my power and me to lead my life more or whatever we say as women, like be more masculine, right? But then constantly you're telling me, not with your words, but with your actions, you don't trust me. I'm not capable of making my own decisions. I need you to make the decisions because that's when you're happy, right? So it's really about understanding. And if you are listening to this and you're like, oh my God, I do this to my partner, go and fucking own it. Like go and be witnessed in it. Go to your partner and say, oh my God, I've just realized I do this thing and it must be so hard for you. I've just realized it must be so confusing for you. In 1 second, I'm trying to mother you and tell you what to do. And then in another moment, I'm telling you to make more decisions and lead me, and like how paradoxical that must be. And I'm, apologize, own it. Like share that that's something you want to free yourself and him from. Like that like insane amounts of ownership in relationship is just everything. But let me get back to like what does a woman do in that moment when she's in that micromanager pattern? For me, this is such somatic work. And in one of my courses, The Claimed Woman, we go really in embodiment practices to like actually become so familiar with the somatic expression of that pattern. Like, what does that feel like when the micromanager is driving the car? What does it feel like when she's like, I need control. I need to tell him to change clothes, or I need to tell him to turn left instead of right? Or I need to grab his leg under the table, right? To notice what that feels like in the body. That's always the first step, just to have the awareness of that. And then the second step is, can we actually practice something beyond that? Can we actually in that moment remind ourselves that, what if I could find safety in not telling him to change the outfit? What if this was a lie that I could only feel safe when he was wearing the black pants and the white shirt or the thing that matched? What if I could feel relaxed whilst he wore that really weird outfit? Oh, okay. My practice right now is to feel the part of me that wants to tell him what to do. Because this is where a lot of women come into my work thinking that that part has to just leave. I still feel the part of me, maybe multiple times a week, where I want to tell my husband what to do. My practice is to not let that behavior, that part of me drive the car, right? I get to be, oh, I can feel the part of me that wants to tell him what to do or control him right now. Maybe it's in parenting these days, right? Where I'm like, oh, I want to tell him to like not do that or not do that like that with our son. And it's like, I trust this man. He's a capable fucking man. That's important to me, right? My practice here is, can I relax into these sensations in my body right now? So a big, like the over or the foundational practice for a woman that has controlling patterns or micromanaging patterns in relationship is to get comfortable being with her discomfort, is to train her nervous system to be able to be with discomfort. Because when she can't be with discomfort, she wants to go, change the outfit.
Change her external to bring her the comfort that she needs to be able to create and cultivate from within herself.
We can look at this. I know most women listening probably run a business as well. It's like in a launch, when you're micromanaging and in control, and maybe you've had a few days where the launch is slow. When the micromanager's in the wheel, she doesn't want to be with that discomfort. She's like, like, maybe I'll post 1,000 more times, or maybe I'll like go and check my emails 1,000 more times, right? Where the practice is, can I relax into my body? Can I, be with this discomfort? Yeah. And yeah, maybe then take action from that place, but it's not like action taken from that place of it's not safe is never action that takes us to a place of where how we really want to feel. And again, I just want to add one more thing. This is one of the deepest patterns that is embedded in a woman's nervous system that keeps her from the depth of her feminine, like control, grip, like really literally living life with a grip in her body. And this is why I truly believe a woman's desire to feel led in relationship is deeply holy, because she has to walk through the portal of letting the fuck go. She can't deeply receive leadership, melt into leadership, be obliterated in love if she isn't walking through the portal of letting go of control. And so this changes her entire fucking life. It's very initiatory for a woman.
Oh, everything you've just brought there, Meg, is so powerful. And I love the piece that you just shared around, it's never about trying to get rid of these parts of us that are wanting to be in control, especially when they're so deeply embedded in our nervous systems, because so many of us have been taught that that's how we can create safety in our life, is if we micromanage every single experience that we're having. So of course that then projects onto our relationships with our men. But what you've just shared there around, it's actually just learning somatically how to, first and foremost, notice, there's the pattern. There's that thing I'm doing. I can sense, I can feel that little, I call them like the little gremlins inside of me that wants to like control and wants to say that thing, wants to squeeze the leg or widen the eyeballs, or, change where he wants to take me for our first date, whatever it is. That did happen to me recently, and I learned from that. But, it's really about witnessing those parts of us, just observing them, like noticing them, that they're there first, and then somatically being with them. And one of the favorite tools that I know we both love is just literally with that breath of,
right,
and then being able to choose differently. So I love this piece. And I'm also curious to hear from you on like a slightly different tangent that's just coming into my mind of, what is the one quality that makes a woman most magnetic to a man?
Oh, a woman that's just like so fucking alive in her own body. Like that. And that, like a woman that is like just in the depth and width of herself and turned on by her own aliveness, right? That I truly believe. And you said most magnetic to a man. All men everywhere are different and desire different things. I would say this is going to have you magnetic to the man that desires that, right? Is magnetized to a woman of depth and range. Which is important. If you desire, any woman that comes into my world, she wants to feel deeply met. And this is why I think doing the work of healing the cool girl, which thinks I'm going to perform and I'm going to push down all these parts of me and then I'll be loved and then he'll desire me. And then maybe a month into our relationship or 3 months in, then I'll bring everything. But then, like you've experienced, then that guy's like, what? You were really easy to love and now you're bringing me all these things and I don't understand what?
And
like,
it's, again, so inconvenient. I wanted a convenient woman. Oh my God, that could be a whole podcast episode on like the convenient woman, right? Woo! Oh my God, wild. Yeah, it's such a good point. And I just want to, this is like bringing something up in me because this is something in my dating journey that's been reflected back to me multiple times of like that like passion and aliveness and like how I'm really in my body and as if it's a rarity. So babe, why is this so rare?
Because we have been like circling back to that initial conversation around for thousands of years, women have been taught it's not safe to be in our bodies, right? That, our mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers, they didn't have, it wasn't safe for probably all of them to live in their bodies, right? We are so blessed, especially anyone listening to this podcast, to know about healing work, trauma work, all of these different things. Like our mothers, grandmothers, great-grandmothers probably moved through a lot of shit, maybe they lost children, maybe, and there wasn't anything around that was really supporting them to be with that. It didn't, their grief wasn't on it. I'm sure you can think of a woman in your lineage that went through gnarly fucking shit and did not have the landscape or the support to feel that and be with that. For many of the women that came before us, this was a huge part. Like it wasn't safe to be in their body because if they were in their body, the grief, the depth, like all of that, they had to get on with it, right? And then, all of these other layers around, the disconnection from pussy womb, all of these parts of us. So we live in a culture also that is celebrates the masculine, celebrates doing, achieving, that as women, we have really been taught, maybe no one's ever sat us down and said this, but this is just what we see, feel from our culture, that the only way to be successful is to be like a man, right? And also the only way to be loved and desired is to have a level of performance, right? So to push down parts of ourselves to, perform our way into love. And so none of that is conducive for a woman being rooted in her body and alive in the depths of herself, right?
So true.
So that's why you're a rare fucking breed for many men. They're like, oh, you're alive. You're alive, right?
I fuck with this so hard. And it was one of the most beautiful things that I've really learned on this journey. And for every woman listening at home, and I'm thinking of a client right now who I've recently worked with, and one of her pieces of homework was to have a dance party in the morning and and she just shared about how sticky that felt for her. And it actually brought her to tears the first time that she did it because her body was like, welcome home. And so this just makes me think of, we sit here now and we know the power of like what it actually is to like move through our bodies and have emotion express out of us. But for the listeners at home, a really practical, tangible way that you guys can actually start connecting to your bodies outside of just the, what am I feeling? And like, like kind of the traditional thing is literally when you have joy moving through you or playfulness moving through you or curiosity or like, even if you want to flounder in the floundering princess for a while, literally feeling into your body and going, what does this expression feel like? If it moved through me, what would this expression feel like? If it was pleasure, how would my body, and I'm just thinking about even just drinking a glass of water that tastes so good, you could just sit there and be like, gulp, or you could be like, oh my God. Oh, this was the best glass of water. My body feels so nourished by this. And it like brings this like whole level of aliveness. Or if you're experiencing joy or there's something moving through you, asking yourself, how would my body be moving in this moment if this was on the outside and not on the inside? And that's such a powerful way to like really start connecting to that aliveness. So I wanted to give that to the listeners at home. And I want to hit you now, Meg, with like a couple of quick fires. Are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Meg. Okay. Okay. Our first one I want to hit you with is, and I can even just now feel my body moving because I'm like, oh, this is going to be a good one. Literally, this is like what starts to happen. What is one truth about men that might trigger women, but that would completely change their love life if they listened from this moment on?
Oh, I love this. I feel like the first that came to me is that it's almost this paradigm shift that I was kind of talking about before, when a woman shifts from like, what can I get from a man into what can I give? And that not coming from performance and like, I'm going to give to you so you give to me or whatever it is, but like, what would it look like to pour into your man? Like maybe this looks like, you know, I'm just going to devotionally worship his cock. Maybe it looks like, you know, reminding him of all the beautiful things that you love about him, or all the ways that he like shows up for you in your home. Like, but what can you, like, men love to be poured into. Men love to be loved on and cared for. And I think this is also something, if we look culturally at men, especially like, you know, if we look at men in households and in families, often they are the provider and protector. Not many people are caring for them, right? Not many, you know, and we want men to, in a way, divorce from their mothers. We don't want mummy's boys. So we don't want their mother caring for them really deeply. We want, you know, a trustworthy man is a man that has, you know, cleaned that relationship with his mother. So there aren't a lot of people caring for a man, caring for his internal world, his body, like all of these different things. And again, this isn't about us mothering our men, but just tuning into like, oh, how could I like pour into my man? Because he still needs to be poured into.
And nourish him and nourish. How can I nourish my man? And this goes for every man in your life, not just your husbands or your partners, but your brothers, your uncles, your fathers, like the men in your friends, the men in your world that exist. How can we appreciate? How can you share your appreciation? Because men need this, and not from like a needy place, but from that place of starvation. Like men are starved of that appreciation. Men are starved of that nourishment. And the more we can give that to them, the better. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I share a story?
Always. I love Meg stories.
Recently, Jacob put up a post of me, and it was a photo. It was on Facebook. It was a photo of me breastfeeding. My son's face was like covering my nipple, but you could see that I was breastfeeding. And then he shared in this post just like, it was when I'd hit like 500 days of breastfeeding. So he was just like honoring me for breastfeeding our son. And for some reason, that post went like viral. I think it was another post of his like went viral. So then people found that one. So there was just hundreds and hundreds of comments on this photo of me breastfeeding. Some of them were like disgusting, but they weren't the ones that actually really saddened me. Like there was some just like commenting about my breasts and commenting on my, you know, about that I shouldn't be breastfeeding an 18-month-old boy and like all these things, you know, classic.
Shout out people off the internet with strong opinions.
Oh my God, it was just like so illuminating. I was like, wow.
And thank you for helping you on the algorithm too. Like that's great.
But do you know the comments that really saddened me were, there was multiple men that were like, oh, why does she need to be celebrated for something like women have been doing for like thousands and thousands and thousands of years? Like, get over it. She doesn't need to be, you don't need to acknowledge that. You don't need to appreciate that. Like there were like maybe 10, 20 comments like that. And do you know what that made me feel? How fucking sad. Like those men feel so hungry for appreciation. If that's their reaction to that post, that like, that's just something she should do and no one should acknowledge it for her. How much is that man doing in his life? And no one, probably since he was a little boy, that to me just illuminated how fucking hungry those men were to be seen and to be acknowledged and to be appreciated, right?
So much.
And again, they shouldn't comment shit like that on the internet, but I really see that was what was going on underneath that. So that story to say, like, whether you're in partnership or not, after this episode, like go and fucking appreciate a man in your life. Maybe it's your father and you just want to call him and literally say, hey, Dad, I don't know if I told you enough how much I saw or appreciate the things you did, you know, all the sacrifices you made to, you know, to make my life possible. Or maybe even saying like, I don't even think I understand the sacrifices you make. I will never understand the sacrifices you made. Or maybe it's to your husband or partner to just like think about all the things that happen in your home without you ever having to think about them. Even if you currently feel unmet by your partner, there's probably so many things that happen in your home that happen because he just does it. Maybe it's taking the bins out. Maybe it's paying particular bills. Maybe it's washing the clothes. Like, who knows how your household works, but there's probably many things. Go and appreciate him for that, or go and appreciate the sacrifices he's making to have you stay at home as a mom, like whatever it might be, but like see him in that. And I just want to add one more thing. Often women, when I say that, they'll be like, well, I'm not being appreciated. There's so many things that I do and he doesn't see. And that's a really big piece that holds you back from intimacy. That game of like tit for tat, 50-50. He has to appreciate me first before I appreciate him. You have two choices. You can keep playing that game and feel unmet and feel like the intimacy you crave is impossible, which it is from that place, or you can really have your ego obliterated and just go and fucking appreciate that man right now.
This makes me emotional. Like, I'm feeling really teared up about this because like I love men so much, and just hearing this conversation is so true. I just look at all the men in my life and how they just get on with it, right? They just get on with the work they're here to do. They get on with providing in their ways. They get on with whatever it is that they have to do to like nourish their family. And the thing they're most starved for is the thing that we as women can give so easily for free. It doesn't cost anything. It just requires us to obliterate our ego and offer that appreciation. And so I really hope the listeners take that to heart and know that right now you can drastically change the dynamic of your relationship by simply pouring into and nourishing your man with appreciation for who he is and what he does and the way that he shows up for your family. So I feel like I want to ask you one more quick fire, which probably we've kind of already answered, but let's feel into this. If a woman wants to be fully claimed, fully ravished, fully chosen, what is the thing she needs to immediately take responsibility for now?
Oh, that question is so fucking good because it touches on this piece around that we spoke about, that shift from like all energy and life force out to he has to be the one to change into herself. I would say what she has to take responsibility for, two things. One is that if she desires to feel fully claimed, she cannot feel fully claimed unless she has first fully claimed herself, right? So she has to claim all of those parts we spoke about before with the square, the square and all the things.
Yes. She can't expect her partner to claim her if she's like just in the box of like 3 qualities of herself. Yeah.
Right? That's her work. The second thing is really being ruthlessly honest with the fact that, or really understanding that she is part of the environment of her man, right? That especially if she lives with this man, like she's part of his living environment, his environment every day. So the way she is can have dramatic effects on the way he is. Right. And so all of these things, like those behaviors that might be so harmless, this is where this can be really confronting for a woman, but to really become ruthlessly devoted in noticing all these little ways where she is emasculating, pretty much creating a toxic environment for her man, or an environment that isn't conducive with who she really desires him to be and who he's here to be, right? So taking ownership for the fact that she's an important part of his environment, and therefore, which is so beautiful because therefore she has the power to shift, part of how he exists in the world and in relationship.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. And as much as it obliterates the ego as well, one thing I really just want to stand for truth as is you can wait your entire relationship for your man to change so that you can change, or you can change first and watch the texture of your relationship change because of that. So I love that so much, Meg. Thank you. Thank you so much for being here today. And I just have loved this conversation so much. Shout out to the men in our lives. We love you so much. I just want to say, side note, my Instagram profile right now is full of like dating humor, and it's like I'm just cracking up because it's just my way of like processing. But we've had a reel go viral recently of like running away from essentially an avoidant man.
That was so fucking funny.
So fucking funny, right? But I'm processing like my dating life through my like Instagram humor right now. But I just want to say, like, genuinely love your men, because a man who is loved well and nourished well and poured into, as natural is going to be to give back so fully into you in the relationship or you and your dynamic. So thank you, my love. Is there any last piece you would love to share? And where can people find you to learn more about your work, your worlds, and everything that you do?
Thank you. There is, and we kind of touched on it, but I also, and you kind of touched on it, but I just want to bring some nuance and discernment into this piece that, yeah, this conversation isn't about go out and love every man and every man is deserving of your love.
Definitely not.
Especially if you're dating. Like, this is also a part of being like a woman that's deep. I often say a woman that's deeply rooted in her feminine can taste bullshit wherever she goes. So it's like, this is our superpower as women too. And why we need to get in our fucking bodies if we want the depth of love that we crave is because then our sensitivity of like feeling what we desire and what we want is like, boom, right? And so this is about discerning like what man you're available for pouring yourself into and offering this texture of love and devotion to. So yeah, wanted to bring that in.
Yeah, it's important.
Yeah, and yeah, love it. Like, oh my gosh, it's just such a glorious, like, not only in your partnership, but if you have, a father, a brother, like close friends. Jacob often says to me that like the way I love our male friends has like healed many of them. And like the way I ask them questions, the way I like practice what I practice in my partnership around like seeing their power, reflecting back, the things I love about them, like really, appreciating them, like that feeds men. So, go out and feed men really powerfully.
Yeah. Love on your man and know that it doesn't make you weak. It makes you actually so much more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and where can people find you, my love?
I am over on Instagram at the.meg.o. Yeah, that's the best place to find me and my offerings. I have, if you've loved this conversation and what I brought here, I have an offering called The Claimed Woman, which is a 3-month relationship healing, polarity, intimacy immersion. It's all online and it's really for the woman that wants to learn the art of being claimed in love. And we're opening doors again, I think probably end of June. So come on over and that'll be the best place to work with me.
Okay, the.meg.o is where you can find everything. And I highly, 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 highly stand behind every single thing that this woman brings into the world. So thank you for transforming my life. Thank you for being here for this powerful conversation. And I love you.
I love you. Thank you. This has been so fun.
Thank you.